Hello and welcome to today's episode. You know, most of the time I'm in studio, but when I get to go out of studio, you obviously know I've got some very important guests today. Mrs. Nieranihaar Minton is with me. I visited her at her home in a place called Zeekoevlei, just outside Cape Town. Very relaxed, nice environment. Mrs. Minton received us well this morning. She's known as one of the top social workers in the country, in my view. Her name goes across far and wide across the continent, which I hear, for the type of work she's done. Mrs. Minton, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you very much.
Now, it's an honor for me to come out today and meet with you. I know that you've been doing tremendous work over all these years, and people know you for the work that you do. But today I want to find out more about you and what inspires you. And the first question I'm going to ask you is, where did it all start, Mrs. Minton and the social work?
Man, it started interestingly enough. I had my own business, and I was doing voluntary work at an organization. And I saw this woman came for counseling at this organization, and she was sitting amongst other people crying, the tears were, and I said to her, come. I wanted to give her privacy, that she don't cry in front of other people while she's waiting.
This is many years ago.
Yes, this is 40 years ago. And I took her one side and I dried her tears. And afterwards the woman smiled. She told me that she just received a letter in the post from the imam. The husband has given her a talaq. And she was so heart-sore. And I dried her tears and she smiled and she says, I feel so much better that I talked to somebody. And that started me off, and I went to study.
We call that defining moments.
Yes, that is a
moment that defines a move that will carry on from there.
That is a defining moment. I thought, I don't want, I'm in business, I'm making a lot of money, I travel all over, but this is what I want. I don't want money. I thought that came to me. I don't want money and luxuries. I want to dry people's tears. And over the years, I've dried men's tears as well, who came to me.
Correct, yes.
Because their wives was unfaithful.
Yes. So you decided to go and study social work at that time.
Yes.
And you were then based in Cape Town, and that was at the height of apartheid.
Yes.
And the political spheres were different for people that wanted to study. How did you find that? Was that not a challenge for you, wanting to go into a field with all these economic and social and political matters?
Yeah, it was a challenge, but if you know my star sign, I'm a Capricorn. I like challenges. I challenge challenges. So at the time of the studying, I said to myself now, what are you going to do? Are you going to go to varsity? And then I realized that there were so many stumbling blocks. I'll do a correspondence study course. So I did a correspondence study course with 2 or 3 friends that was all going for the same course. And we used my home as a base. And that became very successful, actually, to study at home, because there's no other distractions.
Correct.
Like at varsity, you want to be with the crowd and you want to do things with the crowd. But at the home, with your books, you are focused with your friends who's doing the same course. And that was lovely.
So from the, at that time you were unmarried and obviously the children and the husband wasn't there. You then completed your studies and started work. And did you feel at the time that you found your space? Did you feel that when you finished your studies that this is really what I wanted to do.
Oh yes, I did, and maybe when my husband proposed, I said to him, on condition you allow me to do this work. And he says, it will be an honor for me to help you, because
Yes.
I've got a fantastic husband.
You needed that kind of thing.
Yes.
You could not do what you do
Yes,
by not having the proper spouse in place to
I
do that.
must have a shoulder to carry me in the difficult parts of my work.
Yes.
And he was so good to me in that way. He did everything I needed to help me with the work.
I know that just before the interview, you started speaking highly of him already. You obviously see him as one of those pillars for you,
Oh,
because
yes.
I know that you absorb the problems of many people.
People, yes.
And so
yes.
you needed somebody that could absorb
Yes,
all those issues that you're getting.
things, yeah.
Does he
yeah.
play that role?
Yeah. Look, I also have my colleagues, which we call, the process is called debriefing.
Yes.
I meet with colleagues and we sit around the table and we discuss the clients and the cases. And this one gives his view, that one gives her view, because we've got male social workers also. So we share that, and then the burden becomes lighter.
Correct, yes. Now, over the years, you had some real hallmarks in your
Yes,
career as you went
yes.
along. I know that you traveled with the First Lady
Yes.
across Africa,
Yes.
The wife of the former President Thabo Mbeki.
Big, yes.
And some work was done there for the poor throughout Africa. Tell us a bit
Yes.
about those incidences.
Oh yes, we went to Iran, and we did some work in Iran, and it was quite an eye opener to see all these Muslim women in Parliament. They will come into Parliament all dressed in black. But I tell you, when that interview is finished and the night comes for the dinner, then I didn't recognize them because all their black clothes were off. And they had all their gowns on, their beautiful gowns, and their hair was done. It was such an eye-opener for me. Iran is a very broad-minded, open society.
Yes.
You know, so that was quite an experience.
The work in Africa?
My other work in Africa I did was with another place called Lebanon. I did
Yes,
a lot
Lebanon,
of work
yes.
in Lebanon. Yeah, I'm so sad to see what is happening now there. You know, when I was there, it was beautiful, but Lebanon is being destroyed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about the cases that you deal with, the type of cases that you've been dealing with the years. They included marriage issues, they included abuse, perhaps rape counseling, all those kind of things.
Yes.
Were those the kind of things you were dealing with?
Yes, well, look, I covered the whole spectrum of problems, with men marrying a second wife secretly, women finding out later that the husband has got another wife and another child, and she comes quite broken and cry by me, and I have to counsel her that Islam does allow him, and we must sit down, bring him, and we can talk and work it out, and you must learn to accept it, although he's going to stay there sometimes and by you sometimes. You can make an arrangement that will help both of you. Then, of course, when we have cases of course, the child abuse, where children are abused. One day, a beautiful young girl came to me from madrasa, beautifully dressed, covered up, and then she sat down with me. But before she could speak, she just burst into tears. And she said that her father wanted to rape her and she doesn't know how to handle it. She don't want to go back home. She's scared to go back home. So I had to call in the father, and I told him that either I'm going to do what I want to do or you're going to jail.
So he acknowledged that he
didn't acknowledge it. Of course, he will deny
played
it.
it down, obviously.
He will deny it. But then I arranged with a family member that she going to live with him. And then she's been happy ever since. And she finished her studies and went to varsity and so on. And that's another thing, you know, that I am so shocked by the men. They cannot keep their private parts private. I am really shocked about that.
It's very interesting that you're saying that.
Yeah.
And I think that through your experience,
Yes.
it's interesting that you are able to tell us candidly what you think about certain things, because
Yes.
we're in a time of falsehood, and we need to be candid about what
What
the
they
truth
really
needs to be.
what they
We
really
can no longer as a community sit back and say, we cannot say this, we can't use that word.
And sweep it under the carpet, you know, and you know what is happening. And even in homes, you know, some wives are scared to talk. They're scared to talk about their husband's abuse. They keep to themselves. And I sit with a lot of that in my years, in my career, where I had to rescue women. And of course, women also play games around their husbands.
Correct, yes.
Let's not be naive about that.
Yes.
Yeah, not be naive about that, because women play games when the husband is not around. But you know, at the bottom of all this, man, I think it's your Islam, your quality of your Islam, your education about Islam, your real education, not so boo-boo,
Yes.
you know.
Yes,
Inshallah, inshallah, mashallah, alhamdulillah.
Yes. I have, Mrs. Minton, I must tell you, I've got that very same opinion.
Okay.
I don't like people to talk to me like that.
Yeah.
Inshallah, mashallah,
Mashallah,
whatever.
yeah.
I don't base a judgment
No.
on someone on that. I need to be able to see who are you
Are you
really.
really, yeah.
I need to see over time how do you
Good.
deal with certain things.
Very
But people come to you and they say, Inshallah, mashallah, you got a big face on, whatever.
No.
I really can't care, I must be honest with you.
Because
Those
that's a
days are gone.
hypocrite, man.
Those days are gone.
Yeah.
You know, Mrs. Minton, you know, you've seen many cases over the years. You've seen many issues. You run into those people today, and their lives have changed. How do you feel about that?
Man, to tell you the truth, there isn't a week in my life that goes past in this house. You can call my daughter upstairs, that somebody doesn't come in here with a small present. Mrs. Minton, thank you for what you've made my life turn out to be. Mrs. Minton, I can't thank you enough. A woman came to me recently. At that time, I used to charge them, I think it was 10 rand. You know, if they're
Yes.
poor and they have married, I charge them 10 rand because I don't want to charge them.
Yes.
But now, if you don't charge them, they don't appreciate the value of
Yes.
the advice you give them.
Correct, yes.
So I charge them so they can think,
Yes.
and the money goes to charity.
Yes.
But she came here the other night after many, many years. Suddenly, after 20 years, she said to me, Mrs. Minton, at the time when I was abused, I couldn't pay you that 10 rand.
Yeah.
But here I've brought it now.
After so many years.
She said, yeah, I've brought it. I said, no, my sweetheart.
Yeah.
No, I don't want the money. You take that money for you. What happened in your life? She says, no, I've left that man that was beating me up so. I live alone with my 2 children. I have a small flat, very humble, but I managed. I got my old job back, and I'm so happy. Now, that's all the money in the world to me. I don't want money.
Correct, yes.
That's all
Yes.
the money in the world.
Correct, yes.
I said, my sweetheart, I'm so happy for you.
Yes. Do you still see patients and clients up till today?
Not really.
But you cannot get out of it. I mean, people's going to come to you.
No,
They're going to walk in here all the time.
Yeah. No, I usually refer them to other good psychologists or other good social workers, you know. And some of them say straight, Mrs. Minton, we don't want anybody else. We only want you to counsel us.
Yes.
So then I do help them.
Yes.
You understand?
I know that.
But my doctors also warned me. They said to me, Mrs. Minton, you must stop. You've done enough.
Yes.
You know, then I say, yes, doctor, tomorrow I help again.
Yes. I remember coming to see you in hospital some months ago.
Yes.
I didn't know you, but my sister knew you, and I came to see you. And my sister was trying to explain to me that in hospital you were very quiet because you weren't eating and all those things. And she said that, but when this woman is on the go, then everything is the other way around. I heard that you sometimes get very aggro with people that don't want to listen and all those kind of things.
Yeah, look,
But
sometimes I'm only human, man. Sometimes I do get irritated and then I apologize afterwards, you know, because I cannot stand incompetence.
And injustices,
And
oppression.
injustices. and gossip.
Correct.
I cannot stand fitna.
Yes.
That gets my back up.
Yes, that's interesting. Now, with all of that happening and having such a fulfilling career and having made an impact on people's lives and what they're doing and their futures and impacts on generations to come because of some of the work you've done has impact on the generations to come. If you stopped abuse down the line somewhere, the next generation will be abuse free also because of some of the work you've done. So your legacy continues and it goes.
Yes.
But around you, you mentioned your family,
Alhamdulillah.
you mentioned your husband.
Yeah, right.
Tell us a bit about the children.
Yeah,
Do they follow in your footsteps?
Yeah,
Do they stand by you?
Yeah, I've got 2 daughters and 1 son. My eldest daughter, Rhodatul Jannah, she is...
Is that the full name?
Rhodatul Jannah.
Because people normally just go Rhoda.
No, but I mean they call her Rhoda,
Yeah.
but the full name is Rhodatul Jannah.
Interesting.
And she is at the moment in one of the African countries up north. She and her husband is there now.
Yes.
They are working there. And she's also opened a food center. She supplies food to poor children in her home, in the orphanage there. So she's taking after me in that way.
Yes. I know that your husband, so your daughter's involved. I know that your husband is involved in an old age home.
Yeah, down the road.
And he dedicates a lot of his time
Yes.
and life to that. So the whole family has been a benefit to
Yeah,
society.
look, I from small I pulled them along and I
Yes.
told them the value of doing Allah's work. You don't just live for yourself. I said to them, you know, the rizq is for you to share, that
Yes.
Allah gives you. So they're into it already, from
Yes.
small, they're
Yes.
into it already.
You sitting back now, being now a senior citizen of our community, having lived this very full life, contributing to society, do you feel that now that you're no longer really practicing anymore and that you've done what you've done, do you feel that you've lived your life fully and you've left something behind that you can one day face the Almighty with and say, I've done what you asked me to do?
No, I really do. I feel very blessed that Allah's given me the opportunity to live the life that I have lived, that Allah's chosen me actually to do this work.
Yes.
I feel very blessed because of that I'm the lucky one, not the people that I've served.
Yes.
I'm the lucky one
Yes.
to have been given that opportunity to help where I could help. And as I say, it's always come back to me 10 times more.
Yes.
Whatever I did has come back to me
Yes. No,
10 times more.
It's funny that you say that. If you remember, just before the show, I said I wanted to relate something to you, but on the show, and I didn't want to mention it before the show. It was exactly what you're saying, and that was that people have this idea that when Allah says, or God says that I'm going to give you 10 times back, I think people have the idea that He's talking about money all the time.
Yeah,
I feel that there's an expansion in time.
Yeah, of course.
So that means what you do in 10 minutes, other people do in 10 days. Because you are being given back in time. And what you can do with your time. Because all your time was given to other people all the time.
Right.
And I think that's an important thing for people to remember.
I wouldn't live any other way. It is such a beautiful, rewarding way to live. Although there's not money in it.
Yes.
But you don't do it for money.
Yes. It's one of those jobs that I was last week with the PDSA. Because I have this thing with animals and I love animals and animal welfare and that sort of thing.
Right.
And I spent some time with the PDSA.
Okay.
And I told the CEO, Patrick Horrigan, who's now befriended the channel, I told him that you have a job, like many other people have a job to do. But your job, you know that you're doing 2 things in one day, and that is you sing to society and you're doing your job. And that's a brilliant combination.
Lovely, yeah.
And you were in that same position.
Lovely, yeah. Yes.
Well, otherwise you could have just been any other person going to work, coming back. But in your job,
I can't live like that, yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Now,
9 to 5.
yes, we're heading into a strange time.
Yeah.
We know that
difficult time.
in your time, you counsel youth and with issues going on. People have become more naughty. They've become more abrupt, wild. They have maneuvered their ways into more serious matters. Our community is looking at HIV. We're looking at more rape cases, more abuse cases. All kinds of things are going on. What's your advice to them in this time?
Well, I think the government must really play their part, you know, in protecting our youth from the evils that's going on. The government, for me, is not doing enough to protect our future, our children's future, and if they could really educate the youth. First of all, they took away the children must not be punished.
Corporal punishment.
We got punished, and I'm the better for it.
Correct. I'm in full agreement with you.
Yeah, you see, the punishment, of course, must be within limits. But the child must be punished. What
Correct.
happens to a small child that don't get disciplined? He becomes a scholar.
Yes, of course.
You understand? What becomes a student that don't get punished? He becomes a loafer, he drifts out, he don't go back to school. That's happening in South Africa every day.
Correct. So, do you believe that that more needs to be done from a parental point of view, along with government, to
Or
try
parents, government, and the society. They must also play a part in helping that child, that youngster. You know, in the olden days, you could give a slap on the hand of your neighbor's child. Today you can't. The neighbor wants to fight with you.
Correct.
But in the old days, the neighbors are glad if you discipline their child, because
Correct,
they're
yes.
not there to see what their child did.
Because everyone else's child was everyone else's parent,
Yeah,
and all kinds
that's
of things were
right.
going on.
That's right.
That whole philosophy has changed.
Yeah, of Ubuntu, yeah.
Yes. Mrs. Minton, now we're reaching the end of the program. I would like you to use the opportunity of thanking some of the people that have supported your career over the time. I know you speak about your family a lot. Have you got a message to them, to your family and your friends that have supported you over this time?
Oh yes, I do have a message to them. My family,
Please tell us.
my family, I cannot thank them enough for supporting me, and I had to leave them aside and travel all over and leave them with my husband looking after them at home when they were small.
Yes.
So I can't thank him and my children enough. I've got a son also that's in business today. But he also said to me, you know, Mommy, you taught us so well that when you're not here, we are even stronger.
Correct.
So that for me is a blessing that my family appreciates what I did. My neighbors, I've got fantastic neighbors, even here, we run to each other. Yes, no, we're not scared to go and ask a cup of sugar
Correct, yes.
like we did in District 6 in Cape Town.
Yes,
I've got lovely, beautiful people living around me, and I feel blessed.
yes,
I really feel blessed, you know, that you people come here and want to learn from me,
yes. Correct,
because you're learning from me.
correct.
To just give of yourself unconditionally, man.
Yes. No, of course. And your story is a very inspiring one, and I always look for guests that inspire other people.
Okay.
And although some people they don't like telling their life stories because they feel that you know, sometimes it might be like as if they are bragging or something. It's not that. What we want to do is tell the world Mrs. Minton's story so that they become like you and they follow your example. Because that's the prophetic example. To help everybody and to assist everybody, that's the prophetic example. And you've lived that.
2 years ago, we celebrated my husband our 60th wedding anniversary.
Oh,
We are married 62 years today.
oh, that's interesting.
So doesn't that say something?
Correct, yes.
Something about how you live your life, how you support each
Correct,
other,
yes, exactly.
how you deen Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yes.
Because that is what kept us together, the Muslim.
Yes. Mrs. Minton, just before we end the show, do you believe that some of the mannerisms and behavior that you have in the philosophies and ideologies might have come from your parents?
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. My mother was a very hard worker. She couldn't read or write. She spelled fat backwards, F-A-T-E.
Okay.
Big businesswoman, lots of money, traveled.
Yes,
You know, my father's work, antiques, there you see it.
yes,
That's his work.
yes.
It's in all the museums in Cape Town.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I come from good stock,
Yes,
you know.
of course. And we thank them also for making you who you were today. Mrs. Minton, thank you for coming on the program. I'd like to catch up with you soon. It's been an inspiring visit for me because I love people that are doing things for the rest of the community and the world. And you've really impacted on what you've done, and it's an honor for me to meet with you. Thank you very
And
much.
may Allah bless you and
Rohan.
Rohan for
Thank you.
accompanying you and helping you, and may
Thank you.
Allah make the path forward easy for you.
Thank you.
Successful.
Thank
All
you.
the
Thank you.
success.
Mrs. Noor Minton, a very fulfilled life in social work, service to humanity, service to creation all across the continent. And you've heard it all. An inspiring story. Until next time, goodbye.